talk about the planet Pluto for a minute. Now, if you are into astrology at all, you'll know that Pluto, like the other two outer planets, is a generational planet. And many times the sign that your Pluto is in will indicate the generation you're a part of, but not always. Because how we sociopolitically designate generations on the ground does not always correlate and correspond to the way that Pluto moves around the zodiac signs. One example of this is Pluto in Libra. So if you have your Pluto in Libra, most likely you are Gen X, but not necessarily, because you could also be the very early stages of millennials. So the first 1 to 2 years will be designated as the millennial generation on the ground. Now, Libra itself is ruled by Venus and is a sign of balance, hence you have the scales. And so if your Pluto is in Libra, that means you most likely are focused on generationally trying to balance the scales of society. But I argue this, wherever your Pluto in Libra is, whatever house Libra rules in your chart, if you have that placement, I argue that what you are doing now is having to learn how to excavate the ideas of balanced society put upon us. Because we live within a racial capitalist society, especially if you live within the US. And if you are born within the kind of modern construct in which we live in outside these colonial projects, capitalism literally has designated and ruled how we understand what balance is, which means we are always privileging commodity, which we are always privileging production, which means we're always privileging work. And so when we're thinking about how we come into balance now, we're realizing that we have been out of balance for so long. So our generational work, right, if you have that placement, is to figure out how you push back against that conditioning. So this is where I talk about it being a deconstruction location. Now, if you're interested in having your chart read in this way, especially if you're on a journey to self, I'm opening up my books this month going forward, where I'll have spots for 3 readings a month. You can check out the link in my bio and how to book with me. And I'll leave you with this. Pluto also teaches us about the long-term strategy of transformation, because it takes at least 14 up to 20 years to move through a sign. So when we're thinking about societal change, we cannot be so foolhardy to think 1 or 2 actions will all of a sudden break long-standing structures. But if we continuously work towards transforming those structures, just as Pluto continuously does its job and moves through those zodiacs at the space and pace it needs to, we can then upend those structures, because structures take time to break just as much as they take time to make. All right? Like, share, and follow for more.